Southern Negroes' singing, swinging march through the 1960s has changed the course of history, upset Dixie notions of racial superiority, and forced most of North America to re-examine its deep-down thoughts about the dignity owed to every man. 46 Negro churches were burned in Mississippi last year. Southern white terrorists have murdered a dozen civil rights workers in the last 2 years. The chief suspects are the century-old vigilantes of the South, the hooded, masked knights of the Ku Klux Klan. In almost every civil rights murder case, an admitted Klansman has been involved, but the Klan repeatedly says it's innocent. Southern juries almost always agree. This week, they acquitted Klansman Collie Leroy Wilkins of the murder of Viola Liuzzo, as in the past they had freed the accused killers of Medgar Evers, Emmett Till, and scores of other terrorists over the years. To our 7-day studio in Toronto, then, came Calvin Craig, Grand Dragon of Georgia, United Klans of America, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, and his partner, George Sly. They talked with Robert Hoyt.
We'll get another 10. You are the Grand Dragon of the Klan in Georgia?
That's correct.
That's the highest office in Georgia?
That's correct.
About how many members would you say there are in Georgia, or is this...
Well, that's a secret. We'd never give that information out.
You would say it's a substantial number?
That's correct.
Do you feel that you have some God-given right or responsibility to make sure that this race mixing doesn't happen?
Well, first of all, you know, I certainly believe that the white man is superior to the Negro. Let us look at the Negro in America.
Are you superior to a man like Martin Luther King or a man like Ralph Bunche?
The average American Negro morally is very lower than a white man.
But you've probably talked with a number of Negroes about problems like this.
That's correct.
Do you have any hesitancy at all about doing a thing like that?
No, sir, I do not. I have no animosity or ill will in my heart against any man.
We have a young man in the studio tonight named James Bevel, who is the director of the Alabama Project for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And we plan to interview him, but I wonder, would you mind sitting down and talking with him about the same kinds of things we're talking about here?
Well, I don't think
I'd like to get your ideas and his. Here's Reverend.
That wasn't an agreement with what I come up here for, and I don't think it would be of value to either one of us.
Well, let me introduce you with talk about this first for a few minutes. This is the Reverend James Bevel. This is Mr. Calvin Craig and Mr. George Sly. Reverend Bevel, I know that you spent most of your life in this fighting civil rights causes and dealing with a problem. And I'm sure there have been times when you thought that if you could talk to the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, man to man, you could solve a few problems. Are there any things you'd like to ask Calvin Craig?
Well, I've on several occasions have had the chance to speak with some of the members of the Klan. I think one of the problems probably is that historically, I think many of the Klansmen probably don't know how the whole race situation was started in the South. I think often they don't understand the motives of the civil rights movement and what we are trying to achieve in terms of what our aims and our goals are.
Reverend Bevel, Mr. Craig was telling me all the things that the Klan had done for the Negro in Georgia and in the South generally. And I had had the impression from talking with you in the past that you felt the Negro might still have some grievances in Georgia.
Well, I think, for instance, the Klan, I don't know whether you were told that the historic development of the Klan, how and why the Klan came into being. I don't know, maybe the Klan is becoming nonviolent, but in the past, the Klan was originally organized basically to terrorize the Negro people around the whole question of the right to vote.
Do you know of any incidents where I have been or the Klan has been involved to deny any citizen the right to vote in that state?
Oh, yes, I do.
Would you be glad to
point
it out?
In Terrell County. I worked in Terrell County in 1961 and 62.
The Klan was involved?
Yes. Where churches was burned, where, in fact, when I was speaking one night...
Did they arrest those Klansmen involved, preacher, or did you assume it was Klansmen?
No, it was...
Could I break in just one moment? Sure. Being the Titan and the organizer of the South Georgia area, there was not a Klan unit in 75 or 100 miles of that county, Terrell County. There hadn't been in 4 years.
Is that right?
You're speaking of Dawson, Georgia, am I correct?
Yeah, that's
Terrell
right.
County.
Terrell County.
Terrell County, Dawson, Georgia.
There's not a Klan unit in 150 miles of Terrell County.
If you have evidence that there was a Klansman involved in burning the churches down there, have you turned that evidence over to the FBI?
No, for instance, I don't turn evidence over to the FBI.
But you do have evidence of it.
Yes.
If you thought I burn your church and I'm a Klansman, you know I'm a Klansman, you wouldn't turn me over to the FBI?
No.
Well, you're not a citizen.
I'm a citizen.
You wouldn't be a good citizen.
No. I've been shot at personally by members of the Klans at a dinner. They shot my car, and I haven't turned them over.
Hey, can you identify those?
What? The men who shot at me, for instance?
Will you identify them to me?
Men who have shot at me, for instance?
Klansmen? Identify
Oh, yeah.
Klansmen?
Horace Manusi in St. Augustine. When we were in
Horace
St.
Manusi is not a member of the United Klans of America.
Which Klan is he a member?
I don't know, but he's not a member of the United
He's not a
Klans
member of
America.
your order.
No, sir.
But he is a Klansman.
I don't know where he is or not. I don't even know.
Yeah, well, he stated, that he
Well, let's
was...
see on these churches. Now, you stated that you know who burned those churches. And they was
No, I didn't say I
identified
know who
Klansmen.
burned the church. I said the people who, in fact, invaded meetings, terrorized people, who
Were
intimidated...
identified Klansmen. And you said you had knowledge of their identity.
Yeah.
Will you identify them before the FBI?
No, because I tell you why we weren't particularly interested.
Well, do you think that's doing right as a citizen now? It's supposed to be law-abiding, law-upholding. If you have knowledge of where any man, irregardless of whether he's white or colored, if he's violated the law, don't you think it's your rights, your more or less, you're almost compelled to turn that information over to the law enforcement agency?
No, I may or I may not. No, but let me say, in the Georgia situation,
Would you be
in the
willing to go
Southwest,
before a grand jury and identify these people? In other words, I'm for identifying any person that violates the law, irregardless of whether it's a colored man or a white man, whether he's a Klan, or whether he's the NAACP, or whether he belongs to some other fraternal order. If you have such knowledge, I would appreciate it if you would get before the FBI or get before a grand jury, and I assure you that I can have one of them to contact you for such information.
Okay, let me say why we did not.
Or do you feel now?
No.
You just feel that.
No. Let me tell you why we did not. Number one, we felt and we knew that in order to effectively deal with the terror and the murder that had been perpetrated by the Klan, that the way to really deal with that was to get the right to vote. And I think that you will admit that since Negroes, for instance, have the right to vote in Georgia, the Klans have lost its effectiveness in terms of perpetrating violence against people.
We talk in a very civilized way, and you can say that the business of race mixing is a cliche, but in this man's mind and in this man's mind, that's a fact, and it's something that makes him, in one way or another, hate you. And I've certainly been
I'd like,
Is
as far
that
as I'm
true?
concerned, to tell you I don't hate the Negro.
There's no hate.
Well,
I've got
you-
some of the finest friends. I guess it belongs to the Negro race. But what I want to ask
But
you,
you do say the Negro is inferior.
I haven't said that.
Well, do you
You
say
never
it?
have
All
heard
right.
me say it.
All right, I just heard Craig say it. Do you
Well,
believe
I'd
the
say
same?
some are inferior to some whites.
But you don't
vice
think
versa.
that it's a case of racial inferiority. That's the point.
Let me get back to
Well,
it.
What I
Go
want to
ahead.
ask him, I want to now this is the question you know about as far as inferiority, inferior races. There's inferior types of people in all races, regardless. And I'm not actually able to determine which one would be superior to the other one. I know intellectually some of them are superior. Educationally speaking, well, some of them are superior.
All right, I've been...
You have people in your race that would be far superior to some in my race. But far as me hating a Negro, I don't. But I want to ask
The
him for
Klan
one
talks
thing.
about protecting the sanctity of the white race. What does that mean?
Well, he wants
I don't
to, he
know.
wants
What
to
does it
protect
mean to
his-
protect the sanctity of the white race?
to educate them in a way. That's what I mean. More so than from the colored person. They don't fear the colored person.
I think Reverend Bevel has. I was trying to bring something to my mind. It was something he
But
said.
I want one question I want to ask him, though. Get back to this. Now, I've been in the Klan since 1920. How many years would that be?
Well, it's about 45 years.
All right, now, and for 40 years I was active. Of course, the past 5 years I'm more or less retired. I go occasionally, I have a degree team and I travel throughout the Southland to initiate new candidates. But you spoke of mass murder. Tell me just in one instance where there's ever been any mass murder created by the Klan.
Oh, well...
Can you just tell me one instance?
Yes, I can't, for instance, I can't just recall documents, but I have a book on the activities of the Klan, the lynching of Negroes, the burning of Negroes. I had an uncle, in Duck Hill, Mississippi.
Now, you reckon the Klan did that?
Oh, yeah, they came out in their robes.
Well, Reverend, that goes back to a while ago.
Let's leave that
No,
alone.
that was in my
You
lifetime.
said the
When they
Klan
come
would
back out
and
of
burn
the
these
Civil
churches
War.
and all, I asked you to identify them, and you refused to do it. So, to
Well,
me,
the point
that's...
is, it's no point in identifying a Klansman to a Klan jury, in the South. It's no point.
Well, what I was trying to get you a while ago, they wasn't a Klanman in 150 miles of that place. And I got a receipt at home where I donated $25 to one of those churches. And I'd like to say one more thing. A schoolhouse was burned in my county, and the first thing was said, the Klan rode. They're Klan riding. They probably burned the schoolhouse. So just recently, they convicted a Negro boy and sent him off for 10 years. He admitted burning the school, and he was caught at the school.
All right, let's maybe stay with the cliches if that's what they are. But you keep telling us how you love the Negro and you have nothing
I didn't
against the
say I
Negro.
loved him. I respect the Negro and his place in society, just like I hope he respects me and mine.
All right, as a Klan's role...
Well, what is your place? What you mean by your place and my place?
I'm a Christian man.
Mm-hmm.
I go to church. I take part in all civic affairs in my county, and I don't try to persecute anybody. I don't take any part in any controversy between your race and my race.
You know, you keep telling me the Klan is just a fun-loving group of boys who are out to help the cause of the Negro, except they don't want them to get a job.
No,
why don't they want them to get a job? Well, what do you mean when you say they're
challenge
protecting
any man to tell me where a Klansman is...
well, you just tell me what you mean when you
So
say...
we want to keep our job,
Oh,
but
you
I
wanna
didn't say
keep your
take
job.
his job.
Oh, you want to keep your job. You want to keep the Negro from getting your job.
Well, naturally, I'd like to see every Negro in America
What
working.
makes
I'd
you
like to
think
see
a
every Puerto
Negro is
Rican,
after
every
your
white.
job?
Well, that's always been it. In other words...
Well, I don't know that's always been it.
uh,
You say that's
First of
always
all-
been it. What makes you think a Negro is after your job or the job of any other white man in Georgia?
first of all, let me bring one point out here, what I'm trying
Well,
to
just
do in
what,
Georgia.
what makes you think?
Yes.
What makes you think that there is one Negro in the whole state of Georgia
Well,
that
the
wants
nigger-
your job?
He's the nigger can't get my job. I'm not worried about that.
Why can't he get your job?
First of all, I'm a leader of the Klan. He has to be white, and he's not white, so he can't.
Why
qualify.
can't he get in if he's white?
Why can't he get in?
Right.
Just because I can't get in Bernard Riff.
No, why can't he get in the Klan?
Because he's not white. He can't
What?
qualify.
What's the regulation in the Klan
You
says
got
he
to be
can't?
white.
What else you got to be?
You got to be a native-born Gentile Protestant.
Christian.
Right.
Well, what
Why
about
won't you
intelligence?
take a Negro in?
Because he's not white. He doesn't qualify. Why can't I get into Bernard Riff, the Anti-Defamation League? Why can't I get into the Knights of Columbus? Because I can't qualify.
Calvin, Bevel here has laid out a program. He says, in effect, we need your help. And what are you going to say? You're going to help him?
I'm
You're
gonna
going to
say
join
this.
Martin Luther King and help him?
You get President Johnson to let the Klan leaders and the Negro leaders be on that Civil Rights Commission. And then you will eliminate all of your violence. You will eliminate all of this hatred among the white people, which we have repeatedly asked for. In the state of Georgia, let me tell
Wait
you
just a
something.
minute,
You
Calvin.
must wait.
Why don't we just think about the fact you're saying we got to sit down and talk together, but you're heading an organization as the Grand Dragon in Georgia with his green hat, who says that we're not letting any niggers in our organization. We're not going to talk to them. How are you going to talk to them around the conference table if you won't let them in your organization?
Well, that's like this. The Klan is a fraternal organization. It's just like he might belong to some Negro fraternal that I couldn't belong
No,
to.
I don't belong to anything.
Yeah, but
you
that
belong
org-
to.
that
Negro
organization
fraternal
is-
organization that I can't belong to.
I know, what are they?
Never mind. That organization, nevertheless, is dedicated to protecting white supremacy,
Well, now
to protecting, as you call it, the integrity of the white race.
You go right back to what he's talking
Is
about
that
here.
true or not?
Sure it is.
What integrity?
The integrity that we've cultivated for hundreds of years.
You're trying to take
Let us look at the old race here. Let us look at 10% of the population of this country commits over 50% of the crime.
Why won't you let them in?
Well, why do they commit so much crime? Why are so many on welfare that they in Atlanta,
That's
Georgia?
because
Do you think? All right, let's say this. Let's
That's
say,
a job waiting on
Calvin.
them, but most of them will stay at home and draw their welfare.
What I thought
Calvin, we're
One hand they
almost
holler
out
for
of time.
equality,
here.
and the other hand they holler for a welfare check.
All right,
And
but
the
let's-
only way you
right,
can
let's
eliminate
say-
this
let's
is put them
say-
both at the conference table and find a workable solution for
full employment.
I'm not
full
electing him to
employment.
the
I
Senate
agree with you,
because
but
he's going to
put him at the
filibuster. Now,
conference
Calvin,
table.
will you wait just 1 minute because we're almost out of time? You say the reason you won't let him in is because he's responsible for crime and he's illiterate and he's all these things. All right, let's say that somehow by some miracle a Negro manages to pull himself up and he's literate and he's got a lower crime rate than you got. Then are you going to let him in the Klan?
No, sir.
Why not?
No, sir.
Why
Because
not?
that's in our bylaws.
Oh, bylaws.
man.
You can change bylaws, can't you?
Well, if we must...
This
if-
doesn't.
In other words, when I get where I cannot carry the laws out of the organization, then I will get out of the organization. It's just like if I can't uphold the laws of the United States government, then I'll leave the country. Any organization that I belong to, I'm sure that he obeys the laws of his
Oh,
organization.
but why don't you want to let him in? Why do the bylaws say that? Why won't you let him in?
Because the membership passed those bylaws.
I know, but why don't you want him in? Do you want him in the
No,
Klan?
sir, I do not.
Why?
Because I feel that they have their own order, they have their own organization, and they have a right to operate and run their organization as they see fit.
Is, you know, one way or another, we're all members of the human race.
That's correct.
We got to live day by day. Most of us try to figure what's the most sensible way to spend our lives. You know, we don't want to just waste it. And I think the point Bevel's making is there's an awful lot of misery in this world, some of which affects black people and some of which affects white people. And he can't understand why, as an intelligent white man, you spend your time promoting an organization which doesn't know exactly what kind of integrity it's protecting, but it's protecting some kind of white integrity, instead of worrying about the real problems and the big problems.
Well, I have offered what I think is a solution is to sit the Negro leaders and the Klan leaders at the conference table and find out what your programs are. Find out where these poverty conditions exist and try to eliminate them, like I did in Georgia.
Why didn't you call this meeting together in 1960 when you became the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan in Georgia?
Well, 1960,
Why didn't
Bevel
you?
here was just a little man on the totem pole
Never
like
mind.
I was.
Why
He
didn't
didn't
you
have no
call?
voice
You
in
were
the
the
civil
Grand
rights
Dragon in 1960. Why didn't you call this meeting yourself?
I have repeatedly asked. I went to Senator
Well,
Leroy
why ask
Johnson.
somebody else to do it? Why don't you do it?
I can't do it.
Why can't you? You can send out invitations. You can issue press releases by the gallon.
Could you ask the governor? I asked the governor in a public statement to call. I asked the president of the United States to do it. here.
If you
It's just
haven't done one
national
thing as an individual or as a
newsman.
Grand Dragon of the Klan to try to actually promote this kind of social intercourse with Negroes in your own state or your own city.
When you appeal to the
Have you
Negro
done one
leaders,
thing?
When you appeal to the Negro leaders, when you appeal to the governor, when you appeal to the president, how further can you go?
I think you're doing a great job of appealing and a very poor job of calling together a group of people. We got one agreement here.
Reverend Bevel, you have made the statement publicly here that you know the identity of the people that burned the churches in Terrell County.
No, I didn't say
asked
that. I
you-
said I know the identity of the members of the Klan that terrorized the meeting when I was speaking that.
I thought you said churches now.
No,
I
I-
believe you'll check it back
Sorry,
on
but
record.
it is over now, and I still say that maybe we have the
You may
basis.
take over.
Maybe we have the basis here for some kind of conference, some kind of desire to work together. I mean, we all want to be optimists. I don't know if we're being realists.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you, I'm like this. Now, I don't
All
care
right.
what me and you, and any of these people in here, I know there's people that's for and against me here, see.
I think maybe you two ought to shake on the fact that you're going to have this conference right now, and this might be
No,
the
in other
way.
words,
Why don't you
let's
reach
put-
out and
let's
shake his
put it this
hand?
way.
It's when you get back to Atlanta.
Yeah, we're gonna be, both of us
You
gonna
two
be
are gonna
fighting
get together.
poverty. Well, I'm not
two
gonna
get
be after
together.
white people, and he's not gonna be after
But
Negroes.
first, you got to have a meeting
No,
before you do
Let's
that.
put it this way.
You know,
You going to shake hands with him, or are you afraid to?
No, it ain't that.
You afraid to shake hands with
No.
him? Well, why don't you
You
do
know,
it?
you're a very good-looking man. You got all that stuff on, and I didn't know who you was.
Now listen, you guys, you know that hat of yours is a little funny too. You know, let's face it.
Looks
Well, never mind.
like one of them
Have you guys got a deal here you're willing to shake
No,
on? or
listen,
not?
here's the way. I know what you for. You only for this.
No, I just want to know.
That's all
You
you're
say
trying
you
to
want to
do
hold a
him is knock
conference.
him,
You
kick
say
me.
you
That's
want to
not doing
hold
him
a
no good, ain't
conference.
doing me no good.
You say
That's
you want to
what I
hold a
think.
conference to solve these
Reverend, I
problems.
think you're very
Now, you going to sit down and meet with them, or you just going to talk about it?
Well, I've repeatedly asked you.
All right, all I said is, why don't you shake hands on the deal and get together back in Atlanta?
Right here, you know it as well as I do, and I think actually you're trying to throw shame on him, and you're trying to.
No, it's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Grand Dragon of Georgia, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. He told us he rather liked that young Negro fella, but he never did shake his hand. Good night.